With the exception of maybe the OG Anunoby trade, the past 5 hours have probably been the most insane of the season because it started off with Shams dropping an absolute bomb saying that the Raptors are ramping up their trade talks with Pascal Siakam and he might get dealt to the team that we're actually playing today. So that was all speculation that was going on. And then basically a couple hours later, he comes out and directly says that the Kings are out. The negotiations didn't work. People were speculating about whether or not, Pascal met with the Kings executives in Sacramento ahead of this game and told them, hey, I'm not going to re-sign here. I'm not going to guarantee that I'll sign an extension. So trade talks ended up getting thrown out the window. So we had all this end up going on before the game. And obviously we're not privy to all the specific details. We're just broken down what Shams has said, and other reporters around the NBA. But then we just had this game because the Toronto Raptors have been rolling. They've been cooking. But we wanted that little pizza party tonight, as Darko Rajovic promised for a 3-game win streak, but unfortunately, the Sacramento Kings decided to, I don't know, put up the sliders, put up the game hacks, because they were not missing any threes whatsoever. This team went absolutely nuclear from behind the three-point line. We know how elite their sort of three-point shooting is. They're one of the best offenses of all time, but holy smokes, this game was just insane in terms of the shots that they were hitting, the pace of play, and frankly, you might look at this game and say, hey, the Raptors definitely have some issues they went into this one with, which we'll discuss in this video, but we faced off against a really strong Sacramento Kings team that were firing on all cylinders. I mean, any team, the Boston Celtics or Denver Nuggets, the top teams in the NBA facing off against that Sacramento Kings team tonight is losing this game. And the Raptors somehow, someway almost pulled it out down the stretch. There's a few things that we definitely have to clean up, but I am really proud and encouraged by what the Toronto Raptors were able to do in this game, despite the fact the Kings couldn't miss a shot. We still have some sort of holes that need to be filled in terms of the roster, but this team looked great. This team looked really solid, and even in losses, even when it's 2 a.m. right now, 2:13 a.m. Newfoundland time, I'm getting this video recorded. This was an energizing game. So I'm pumped. I'm happy, even though the Raptors end up getting a loss. But before we dive into all the stats and stuff, again, over 56% of our viewers are not subscribed to the channel, so it would mean the world to me if you guys could hit that sub button. But let's dive into what's going on. I think this award, people have been calling for it to make a comeback. The little Scotty Barnes award, it's going, it's coming back. The Scotty Barnes award, it's returning for these games. But basically tonight, Scotty Barnes is electrifying. 20 points. His 3-point shot is on another level right now. His confidence firing up that three. 4 of 8 from the field, but from the 3-point line. But unfortunately, even though Scotty Barnes, he used to get it every single game, there's one man that earned it in the return of the Scotty Barnes award, and it's a guy that, frankly, it's been baffling to me. That's the word that I want to throw out there, that he hasn't been getting more minutes, particularly with the fall of Precious Achiuwa. I mean, he had the promise, people were hyping up the Precious propaganda, at least we were, and he completely fell out of the rotation. Still, somehow, Chris Boucher never found his way back in, despite the fact he does a lot on the defensive end. He always hustles. He has those long arms, can block shots, and especially where we have a lack of forward depth, and, Thaddeus Young, not really going to be able to be a consistent contributor out there on the court given his current age. Christian Coloco's been out with that respiratory issue, and then Jakob Poeltl particularly has struggled over the course of this season, has been better since that trade has gone down. Chris Boucher not getting any run has really shocked me, has really surprised me, but tonight really came out and proved why he should be getting minutes for the Toronto Raptors. Tonight in this one, 28 minutes, 14 points, 9 rebounds, 1 assist, and completely changed the way this game was played. And Jontay Porter was also pretty good off the bench in this one. 10 points, 3 rebounds. I thought defensively there were some things left to be desired, but he did knock down a couple threes, which is great to see. Porter seems like a competent player, but Chris Boucher is clearly the Raptors' premier big man off the bench in terms of the current roster that we have. So Boucher sort of getting pushed down into Darko's doghouse. It surprises me, but I hope tonight sort of proves to Darko Rajovic and the coaching staff that he deserves run, especially with Christian Coloco still on the mend, and then Jakob Poeltl tonight, it was a really weird sort of game. He missed a few bunnies and stuff, but he has been energized. He has looked really good on the defensive end as of late, and generally, these are the types of matchups that Jakob Poeltl really thrives against. Another lumbering big man that try to use their weight, throw him around. Poeltl does a really good job at positioning, sort of moving his feet to be a solid defender. Again, he's not going to be a player that's blocking shots, prime Dwight Howard, defensive player of the year. You're not getting that from Jakob Poeltl. He doesn't have the size, or at least physical man strength or athleticism to block all those crazy shots, but he makes up for it in terms of just positioning, in terms of having good body control, stable. You should be able to take hits, but holy smokes, in this one, Domantas Sabonis really took this man's lunch money. There were a lot of moments, especially in the first quarter. Now, Poeltl was dealing with foul trouble throughout, so that may have affected him in this game. But Sabonis just really had Poeltl's number in this one. Made some great footwork and things along those lines. Poeltl be forcing a baseline, be an immediate spin, and throwing his weight into Poeltl. And rarely do we see that sort of happen. Yes, sometimes people finish over the top of Jakob Poeltl, but a guy like Sabonis is supposed to be, Poeltl's bread and butter in terms of a matchup. But Sabonis was scoring at will in that paint, and also just rebounding, the defensive rebounding, especially in the first half. It cleaned up once we got Chris Boucher into the game more often, but, Jakob Poeltl didn't do the greatest of jobs in this one. Now, that's generally what he's been good at, and it's what he's been great at over the past couple games especially, so I'm not going to be too worried about it. I know a lot of people are going to be saying, hey, we need better big men, which I think we do, just in terms of guard depth, because Boucher is a power forward. We can't expect him to be a consistent backup center. When Poeltl went out with foul trouble, or got fouled out of this game, there were a few moments where things just kind of looked like there was a clear hole when Boucher was running our five. Scotty ended up having to guard Sabonis. We need a Christian Koloko. That's really what we need, but we don't know the timeline in terms of when he's going to be coming back. The Raptors have been tight-lipped about his potential return, so we'll see what ends up going down. But Poeltl, not the greatest night defensively. Cleaned it up a little bit at the end. The confidence finish in the lane did get a little bit better, but we do need Poeltl to be able to dominate these matchups, at least on the defensive end, instead of letting Sabonis, who also was dealing with foul trouble in this one. 24, 15, and 11. And those assists were coming because, he'd be getting those dump offs and making the right extra pass. Sabonis just looked like a man amongst boys for a large chunk of this game. So, there is all that. There's all that type of stuff, but, who else? De'Aaron Fox looked crazy out there on the other end. The defense is something that I know is going to be criticized a lot, but frankly, especially in the first half, maybe a lot of them were kind of quick blow-bys. RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickly. Really, any defenders are going to struggle trying to keep De'Aaron Fox in front of you. That's just how it goes. Defensively, right, rebounding-wise, it's going to be tough if you're getting so many offensive rebounds to close out that many goals. Not the greatest performance from the Toronto Raptors defensively, but from the most part, from the eye test, it seems like the closeouts were there for the most part. So, again, the Kings just hit a lot of tough shots, and then the thing that really made me hyped about this game is the Raptors were able to come back. This is a game that pretty well 27-28 teams are just rolling over and dying with in this one. But the Raptors, they fought back, and, the offense looks really good for Toronto. Defense, when you're facing the Sacramento Kings team, it's a tough go regardless, but our offense is pretty well on another level right now. It's on another planet. Pascal Siakam, 18 points in this one. Scotty, 20. Poeltl, 14. RJ Barrett, in only 27 minutes in this one, a quiet 14, knocked down a couple threes. Emmanuel Quickly, 20, turned it on a little bit as of late. Had a weird sort of end of this game. I think execution down the stretch is going to be something that really comes with a lot of reps. Emmanuel Quickly, RJ Barrett currently getting just integrated into this group. It's, there's gelling, there's, what's the word? Cohesion. Just getting used to playing with other players on this Raptors group that will make these executions work down the stretch. And we also didn't have Poeltl going up against the bigs. The Kings also went small as well, but I don't know. That shot at the end wasn't the right play call from Darko Rajakovic. And Boucher really had a rebound at the end of this one where he could have finished it up, laid it back. But the Raptors were down big in this game. They somehow almost made a comeback. but I'm not calling this one a fake comeback. I'm not calling this, even though it might have been, fits the description, it fits the definition. This wasn't a Toronto Raptors team looking lethargic, looking just out of it the entire night. This was more so, yes, we did have a problem defensive rebounding, but for the most part, the Kings just hitting some ridiculous shots, doing some unguardable things out there on the basketball court, and then the Raptors held their own. They stayed consistent. They kept chipping away pretty well from start to finish, and then at the end almost made that run. I mean, if Pearl didn't get fouled out in this one, he's playing really well in the fourth quarter. I think the Raptors could have easily taken this game. The Kings are a top team in the Western Conference. This group is just coming together from the Toronto Raptors. Now, every loss stings a little bit more given the fact we've put ourselves in a little bit of a hole to start off this season, but I don't know. We have to be realistic about the squad. It's not going to completely 180 overnight, but I am happy, at least from all the chaos that came from this game. Pascal Siakam was not traded. We'll see what happens with Gary Trent Jr. Some people are speculating this is a phantom injury, keeping him out for trade discussions. I don't know. We're not going to read into that too much, but I'm happy Pascal Siakam's still in this group. This game has not deterred my confidence in this team whatsoever, but let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Again, you guys have best to make this far. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. I'm signing out. Cheers.